The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Yo, what up? This is Rocky Asuka Romero of Chaos, and you are listening to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out in Barrio the Frogs. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with Suit Williams from VoicesOfWrestling.com. On today's show, we'll review Royal Quest 3, preview Super Junior Tag League, and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping a Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com. Frequently updated and with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. Suit, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Glad to be on. Ready to talk about some Royal Quest, some New Japan. I'm into it.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute.
Oh, I was going to say New Japan's back. Have you heard?
I've been hearing that over and over again. I don't know where it went, but it's back. But yeah, man, it's been a minute since we've talked in person. I think the last time I saw you was the G1 Climax in Dallas. So it's been a minute.
I forget I was at that show like all the time. And then I remember I've seen Okada Tanahashi live. Like, man, that's just one of those memories that pop up, and you're like, man, I've been around.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to think back. Yeah, we saw Okada Tanahashi live. We saw that Ospreay Lance Archer match live. Like, that whole show was just dope.
Incredible time. They haven't come back, but hey, it was fun. Well, not for a G1, but still fun.
Yeah. And Sue, every time we have a new guest on the show, we ask them just some questions about their New Japan background. But before I get into those questions, got a very important question from our pal, Rich Latta. And he wants to know, is Suit a shoot name? He's always wondered this.
It is not. If you go back far enough on my Twitter, you'll find my shoot name. Like, it's not a secret, but, I'll give the people a little something to do. But, yeah, the origin of it is I had a profile picture on Twitter of me in a dress shirt and a tie from a trip I took to Washington, D.C. I wasn't on like a Senate hearing or anything. I won a contest and got to go. But yeah, so I was in a dress shirt and tie, and I made my profile name Suit Williams. And a lot of people liked the name, thought it was cool. So I just made it my name on Twitter, and it became my name online. And hey, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've known you by, and I know a lot of people too. So,
well, if you take a look on the Google Meet, you'll you'll know the answer.
Yeah, I saw the your real name there. But yeah, we'll let people go to your Twitter at Suit Williams or X, whatever it's called, to find your.
It's Twitter. I think he's trying to avoid like a lawsuit or something.
Yeah. All right, Suit. So when did you start watching New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I became aware of New Japan around 2014. I watched Wrestle Kingdom 8, and I enjoyed it. I saw the King of Destroyer match with, was it Makabe and Fale, I think it was?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that show, and I enjoyed it. And then I got fully into the product in 2015 when Shelley Deathlock, he was at a New Japan America show, and she had like these New Japan, like a free month for New Japan World codes, but she already had New Japan World, so she just gave some out on Twitter. I got one of them. I watched the 2015 Super Junior final with Kushida and Kyle O'Reilly, and that was it. I was hooked, man.
Nice.
I remember watching that in a subway across from New Orleans City Hall on a break from like a summer job I was working, and I was just blown away by the sandwich and the match.
Hey, you can't go wrong there, man. Great food and great wrestling. So who's your favorite New Japan wrestler? I know that's probably hard, but if you had to pick maybe one or two, who's your favorites?
For me, it's Osprey. Like I did a review, I think, of Destruction in Kobe, where I was just like, yeah, this guy's the best wrestler in the world. Like every time he's in a big match, he delivers. And I've been following him since he was, well, not since he was coming up in Progress, but since he was becoming a big deal in Europe. He had won the Progress title, and I've been following him since then and seeing his growth going from, a very athletic, very talented junior to just growing into this all-around great talent. It's just been incredible to follow. It's been incredible to watch, and I'm happy that we're in a time where I can follow a guy whose career starts in England and continues in Japan, and I can follow it and watch it all in real time. So Osprey would be my number one. I mean, Okada, he's got to be up there because he's the man. Like this year, I realized this year, like how great that guy's been for as long as I've been watching. Like it's legit been, a decade plus of that guy. It's insane how great he's been.
Yeah.
And then, Kenny Omega, obviously, if I, to fill out that top three, he's not, he's not there now, but, following that guy rising through the ranks to be like the hottest thing in pro wrestling and bringing New Japan up with him was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was two things peaking at the same time that just made for a very special time in my fandom and in wrestling in general.
Yeah, that Okada Omega rivalry was just so great to watch in real time.
Unbelievable.
And I think sometimes we take for granted just how great that series was and that whole rivalry. I'll remember the 2 out of 3 falls at Dominion. Rich Latta and Young Boy were over at my apartment. We were just running around, going crazy at that match.
Yeah, they have that in the pocket for Forbidden Door, man. I made Danielson Okada happen this year. I'm starting the campaign now. Okada Omega 5 for Forbidden Door 3.
Let's do it.
Hopefully that happens in New Orleans.
Hey, that'd be
for
great.
No reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely make the trip for that, man.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's sell some tickets.
Well, speaking of matches, what's your favorite New Japan match of all time?
Favorite New Japan match is going to be a different Super Junior final, the 2019 final with Osprey and Shingo. That whole tournament is just like a seminal New Japan tournament for me because it's just an awesome lineup And then the final, you got an undefeated Shingo, hadn't taken a fall since he came in, versus Ospreay, my favorite wrestler going. They have this incredible chemistry off the bat. And then Sumo Hall just going insane for it. That match still just, of their like rivalry through New Japan, like that's the top for me. That's the peak of it. And I've given everything else they've done like 5 stars, like almost every other match, because like those are two of the best wrestlers on earth, and their chemistry is just, they work so well together, and it's awesome to watch. And I put some honorable mentions down too for the list. I have the Kushida O'Reilly Super Junior final, the Ibushi Tanahashi G1 final.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then the Omega Ospreay matches from this year too. Just fantastic stuff. Just like, we have crowds, we're gonna make y'all make noise, because these two are they're gonna do some of the most insane stuff you'll ever see.
Yeah, dude, that the Ospreay Omega match has made it hard for me to give like any other match this year 5 stars. It's like, when I compare any great match to Ospreay Omega from Tokyo Dome, it's like, was it as great as this? No, 4.75.
I'm very liberal with my 5s. Like, my 5s are match of the year level.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I do my list. I know other people have it where it's like, higher, like, best matches I've ever seen. I do it where it's just like, this is like one of the best matches I'll see this year. And so 5. So I think I'm at like 9 5-star matches this year.
Yeah, I'll check mine. I'm very similar. I've been trying to be, more liberal with the 5s and not throw everything, 5 at everything. I know some people, I was like Uncle Dave, they're throwing 6s and 7s. Like, that's too complicated for me.
I thought about doing 5+, where it's like one of the best matches I've ever seen, but I just scrapped it and went 5.
Yeah, I think
that's too much.
Yeah, when you start adding in the pluses and the 6s, it's like, it just messes. You have to retroactively go back and update. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna stick with the 5 scale.
Doing too much.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about Royal Quest 30. So this happened this past Saturday, October 14th, from the Copper Box Arena in the UK. Big show here from New Japan in the Copper Box. So I guess before we jump into the show, how was your experience just watching on Rev Pro on demand?
So I didn't watch this show live. I was unavailable on Saturday to watch it, but I do have Rev Pro on demand because I've been meaning to watch more Rev Pro. Like, Rev Pro's up there with CMLL and like the high-end Impact stuff as wrestling that I mean to watch, but I never get around to it. But I have it on Rev Pro on demand, and watching the show is fine. Like, I think Rev Pro on demand's like service is just fine. The video quality is like, if you've watched Rev Pro before, it's a Rev Pro production. Mm-hmm. So is what it is. Andy's using the money for a camera on flights. Can't be mad.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, do you drop the coin to bring in, Shingo and Ishii, or you drop the coin to get the high def camera?
Yeah. It is what it is. You get used to it. And all you can do is like hope that one day you turn on one of these Rev Pro shows and you see like the nice cameras, and it'll be like, oh, here we go. It'll be like, what's that movie where they were all living in black and white, and then I think it's like Spider-Man. Well, it's not Spider-Man, but like Tobey Maguire comes in and like everything comes into color.
Is that Pleasantville?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Elizabethtown, but that's something else.
But yeah, I definitely feel that, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest complaints I hear from like our listeners or other fans, like when they have to watch, a New Japan Rev Pro show. But yeah, at this point, it kind of is what it is. I actually thought that this show wasn't as bad as some of the other shows can be. But you get used to it, to the camera quality and the audio. But I think overall, like the wrestling usually saves the show for them.
Yeah, it makes up for it. What they're filming is good. It's just not in good quality.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this show. So show opened up. We had the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori defeating Robbie X 7 minutes and 48 seconds.
This was my first time seeing Robbie X. I was impressed at how smoothly he moves in the ring. He's very slick with his movements in the ring. As far as like Ishimori goes, I'm a little disappointed that it's, still Bone Soldier Ishimori. I'm not sure how I would have changed him. I don't like. There were some rumors that he would be the fifth man in Just Five Guys as like a little shake up for him. I don't know if I ever like bought that, but he's just got a very stale presence about him. He's been the same since he came in, and it's been what 4 years, 3-4 years. Time for a little shift with him.
He came in. Didn't he come in like that 2019 Super Juniors? I think that was about his time when he came in. I think.
Yeah, about 4 years. Something's got to change with him. I don't know if it's like a gimmick or something, but he needs to shift around.
Yeah, I think with him being out from that injury, it would have been a good time. He had to kind of bring him back, refresh, maybe change the faction up. Because I don't really think he really fits in with the current Bullet Club War Dogs kind of thing that's going on right now. I mean, I guess maybe you could slide into the House of Torture side, but I don't know.
Yeah, there are like a couple guys in Bullet Club limbo where it's like, you have Ishimori and then you have, Chris Bay and Ace Austin, who seem like they're Bullet Club in name only over an Impact, where they're like in this in between where they don't fit the new vision, but they're not like going anywhere else. So it's odd. Maybe they need another like faction for those guys. Maybe some of them can slide over to House of Torture, but House of Torture just got a guy in Kanemaru, so I don't know. It's an odd like fit right now for Bullet Club. They're still kind of shifting things around because you've got like the War Dog group, which I like. I like the look of that unit. I like the intensity of that unit. But then you still got these hangers on like Ishimori and Owens that are, they're still waving the flag, but they don't really fit what the look is now.
Right, and then you got Fale down in New Zealand, Australia with his Rogue Army, Bullet Club, and you got Bullet Club Gold and AEW, and Bullet Club and Impact. They're just all over the place.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It's like when a coach comes in and he has his recruits, but there's still the old recruits there. So you gotta, David Finley's got to run through a year or two to get his new recruits in.
It's like, yeah, I guess I'll test out these old guys and see if they work with the game plan I'm trying to run with my new guys.
He's out there like Coach Prime bringing in his Gucci bags.
Oh man. But yeah, I thought this was a good opener for the show. Nothing blow away. Ishimori did a pretty cool UFO backbreaker towards the end there, and then it's the bloody cross on Robbie X to get the win. But yeah, I've seen Robbie X a couple of times now. I think he's really impressive. He's one of the fan favorites in Rev Pro. He's a guy I think would be great to bring over for like a Best of Super Juniors or like a Super Junior Tag League, or get him in the mix for like another like All-Star Junior Festival. He's a really great guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing more of him in New Japan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So after that, we had El Desperado defeating Trent Seven 8 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah. So I said earlier I was watching Progress when Will Ospreay was on the come up. I saw a lot of Trent Seven too, and can't really say I've missed him. He just does not look very good. He's got the silver hair, and he's got the body. He always had the body.
Yeah.
But the body is bodying more now. Yeah, so I can't exactly say I've missed him. I did like Despy taking a chair shot to the head as a heat spot in a match second from the bottom. That's how you show you love this business. I was a little surprised that Despy had to win with a flash pin here, but they push 7 in Rev Pro, so I get taking care of Andy's guy here, but yeah, not much here. I slapped 2.5 on it, went on about my day.
Yeah, it's a fine match. I always say that there are some guys I think are just better off as tag team wrestlers, and I think Trent Seven is one of those guys. I think if he was with Tyler Bate and doing Mustache Mountain stuff, I think he could probably still have some really great matches and probably attract more attention. But yeah, since he's been back in Rev Pro, it's just kind of been it's just kind of been okay, and like his single stuff hasn't really, at least for me, it really hasn't called out to me. And so yeah, this match was fun. Like you mentioned, they had the whole chair stuff at the beginning, and then Despy takes the chair from the plancha. Yeah, he comes back. He gets the El Esacero small package pin from the reverse out of Trent Seven's 7-star lariat, which would have been interesting if he hit that on a New Japan show, considering it's pretty much just his version of the Rainmaker.
Yeah, Desperado figured out a counter to the Rainmaker. Everybody should be watching this tape. But yeah, I mean, 7 and Bate being a team would be nice. I mean, that is if anybody could find Tyler Bate. Have you seen him? I don't know.
I have not. It's been quite a while. Whenever the last big NXT original takeover stuff was, or NXT UK, I have not seen that man in a long time.
Yeah, he's not looking much better. Like his body he still looks like Tyler Bate in the body, but then he looks a lot older in the face, and he is my age, so
it looks like he's been through some things.
He has seen some stuff, and living in Florida, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I'm right here in Tampa, man. There's a lot of stuff you see around here, man.
One wrong turn and uh-oh.
Well, you already see it with the NXT parking lot. Like, it's just not safe out here, man.
Not nice out here. Not sweet out here.
Yeah. So after that, we had Gene Blast, Yota Tsuji defeating Luke Jacobs 9 minutes and 1 second.
I wrote this in that Destruction in Osaka review I did for Voices of Wrestling, but Tsuji is a capital G guy. He has got so much presence. He's got the talent. The people are behind him in Japan. They were booing him here because they were behind their guy Jacobs, but Tsuji, he's got more. I want to see if you agree with me on this. Mm-hmm. He's got more main event presence now than Okada did at this point of his Rainmaker push.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I feel like Okada was still quickly trying to figure things out, kind of in the beginning of that push, and also you see where he's at now. But I feel like Tsuji, the look, also I don't speak Japanese, but it seems like he's a lot of confidence when he's talking, the wrestling, his crowd reactions, and I know the crowd was a little bit more in favor for Luke Jacobs at certain points, but I feel like when his entrance music hit, he got a huge reaction. There were big Tsuji chants. He came off like a star, and I've been saying this for weeks now on the show that he's a guy where I don't think you wait much longer. I think you need to pull a trigger on him, strap him up. He needs to be the big push. I think he has what it takes to be the new face of New Japan.
The next big arc in New Japan, he should be a big part of it. Like whether he is like the protagonist of the story or whether he is the antagonist to whoever is that top guy, he's got to play a part in it because they've got a guy here. Their other guys are, aging out, so you got a guy in Tsuji here who everybody's in already. They're already bought in. Let's hit the ground running with them.
Yeah, man, I think just his crowd reactions have really kind of just blown me away in Japan, even in the multi-man stuff, and then the Will Ospreay match in Kobe, the match, his debut back from Excursion against Sonata. Like this guy was a star like pretty much day one with his return and how the crowd is taking to him. I really haven't seen much guys come back from Excursion that the crowds are really taken to like that, except maybe since maybe Hiromu when he came back. But yeah, the fans love him. I think he has everything it takes. I agree with you. Like going forward, yeah, he needs to be, they had like their, if you want to call him pillars, he's a 3 musketeer, whatever you want to call them. Like he needs to be one of the tentpole guys that they focus on going forward.
Yeah, and this match, it was a simple one. The crowd was behind Jacobs. I was expecting a little more because you heard the rave reviews from the Rev Pro anniversary show about Jacobs against Ishii.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to watch that show, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I was there live for that. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. But Tsuji is like much higher on the totem pole than Jacobs is in their respective promotions, so he handled them here. It is what it is. I would hope for more, but maybe one day.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too on commentary. They kind of called back to Tsuji's time in Excursion in Rev Pro, and when he was a young lion, he faced Luke Jacobs and lost, and so this was kind of a big thing for Tsuji to come back as a star, get the win over Jacobs. Post-match, he threw him out the ring, similar to how Jacobs did when he beat him as a young lion. So kind of getting some comeuppance there and getting his revenge. But yeah, Tsuji looked real good. Hit a curb stomp, spear, put Luke Jacobs away. That was a good match. Like you said, I was kind of expecting more too. Like I said, I was there live for that Ishii Luke Jacobs match in August, and that was awesome. I think Luke really, that was his kind of breakout match. I think a lot of people were hoping to see a similar thing here, but it wasn't quite that.
Yeah, just not there yet. Jacobs isn't there yet, but he's on the right path, and hopefully if he gets into New Japan proper, we can see more of it between these two and with the whole roster.
Yeah. So then following that, we had the first title match of the evening. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles are on the line. The Bullet Club War Dogs team of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney retained their titles by defeating Cameron Kai and Leon Slater in 12 minutes and 2 seconds.
These two men are entirely too young. What are y'all doing on wrestling shows, man?
Yeah, did they say
what are y'all?
Cameron Kai was 17?
Yes, and Leon Slater is 19. Like, what y'all doing, man? Like, ain't y'all got a bedtime? Don't y'all got stuff to do?
Oh, man.
I don't appreciate Brit Rest constantly making me feel old. I'm 26, man. That's not. I already have trouble with some of these dudes in the NBA. NFL. I got sons of people I was playing as in Madden. I'm already having trouble with this. I don't need Brit Rest adding to it.
Yeah, you always hear stories of these guys wrestling when they're 10, 11, and then you see these guys come out here 17, 19, probably in high school, fresh out of high school, on a big spot on a New Japan show.
Yeah, in front of 3,000 people. I don't have the attendance to hand. It might be on Cage Match. I could check, but I think it was 1,000 down from the Rev Pro show, which for coming back so soon after that, that's a good attendance number for them.
Yeah, I think so.
For New Japan. Let me check. 3191 is the reported number on Cage Match. So there you go for attendance. But for this match, I like the Rev Pro canon continuing here because Slater and Maloney had some bad blood. Their issues resulted in Ospreay having issues with Slater, which led to their match earlier this year in Rev Pro. And I just, I appreciate the canon being continued of the British promotion leading to the big New Japan show. Match was pretty good. I thought Kai and Slater, for their ages, were pretty impressive. Something else I liked on commentary, you had Chris Charlton and Gideon Gray.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Gideon Gray. He was being the heel commentator for the night, but I liked that he was still anti-Bullet Club.
Yes.
Because of Maloney turning on the United Empire instead of just, lazily going with the bad guys because they're bad guys. I thought that was good attention to detail by him.
Yeah, I think that throughout the night there were certain guys that he's had run-ins with or didn't like, whether or not they were face or heel. So, yeah, I thought he did a great job of kind of playing to that. Yeah, being upset at Bullet Club. Like you mentioned, Drill Maloney was a part of United Empire and then quickly turned his back to join the War Dogs. So Gideon still has some heat there. And yeah, I like the whole story that played out here. Like you mentioned, Leon Slater, he's 3-0 in singles matches against Drilla Maloney, and he beat him at the last Rev Pro show. So that's how they got this title match. So good canon there, like you mentioned. And yeah, really fun matchup. A lot of fun double teams from Kai and Slater, and these guys were flying all over the place. It was awesome. And but they couldn't match the muscle of Drilla and Clark Connors.
Yeah, they got the win with the last clip, is it? That's spear off the ropes?
Yeah, Drilla gets him up in a suplex, and then Clark spears him.
Yeah, so, good stuff. Good stuff. I like Connors and Maloney as champs.
Yeah, it brings something different to the division. Also, you normally have a lot of flyers, and they're more kind of the bruiser team. And, man, I love Drilla's the Drilla Killer pile driver. I think when he hits that, he just needs to pin people. Like, forget the full clip. Like, you just put somebody up in a power bomb and drop them in a pile driver. Like, pin them. That's it.
Yeah, I loved that angle of them coming together at the end of that Super Junior tour, because I basically reviewed the tour for Voices of Wrestling. We get to the end of the tour. Those two have a match together the last night. I went 4 stars on it. They had this wild brawl all over the building with like barricades and stuff, throwing benches at each other. It was crazy. And then at Dominion, you had Maloney turning on Catch 2 and teaming up with Connors, and the explanation he gave, I just loved. Like, I went drinking with Connors. This guy's pretty cool. I'll team with him. Yeah. So yeah, I loved that coming together of things, because yeah, that's just cool. That's just, the world feeling lively, the roster feeling lively in New Japan. So I like that.
Yeah, and I love when he was, talking about Akira. He's like, I asked him to go for a drink. He wanted to get bubble tea. He's like, I don't want no damn bubble tea. I want a beer.
Good stuff.
So yeah, good matchups. Champs retained there, so they'll go into Super Junior Tag League as the champions. So then after that, we had the Guerrillas of Destiny team of El Phantasmo, Tama Tonga, and Tangaloa, defeating the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Alex Coughlin, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd at 10 minutes and 41 seconds.
Yeah, another fine match. Like, everything up to the top 2 ranged from like 2.5 to 3.5. Like, nothing was, you had the floor, but you had the ceiling. Mm-hmm. This was very much in the middle of that. I'm ready for these sides to move on from each other. It feels like Tama Tonga has been feuding with Bullet Club for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of over it. The next defense for Tama Tonga is away from him, which is good. And something else I noted was Gabe Kidd. I've liked that guy for a long time. He was one of the few worthwhile things from watching What Culture Pro Wrestling back in 2017 or whatever. But he's got a lot of big room energy, plays to the back of the house, and I've seen the guy have great matches before, and so that New Japan polish on him should make him even better. I think that guy's gonna be a big deal in this company.
Yeah, I think Gabe Kidd is awesome. I've loved seeing his work, love his stuff in Rev Pro. He had a good run on New Japan Strong. The match with Eddie Kingston a couple years ago was awesome. So yeah, Gabe Kidd, I love the attitude, the wild madman, kind of just storm into the ring, throwing stuff around all the time. I think he's great. And yeah, I agree with you. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show with Tama Tonga. It's like, yeah, his whole kind of post Bullet Club life has been feuding with Bullet Club. Like, I want to see what Tama Tonga looks like not facing anybody that's throwing up a too sweet or a crotch chop or wearing any kind of black and white. Let's see him, mix it up. And so, yeah, like you mentioned, we're going to see him and Shingo in Las Vegas fighting Spirit Unleashed. So that'll be kind of a good step up for him and kind of see what he's going to do moving away from these guys. I think both these units kind of need to, after this, kind of go separate ways and kind of get into new rivalries. And yeah, I agree with you. This match was just kind of fine. Looking at my notes, I have a lot of 3 stars, pretty much up and down the beginning of this show. So it was fine, kind of capping off the rivalry that we saw from Ryogoku, Destruction Ryogoku, with Tama getting the Never title from Finlay. This match had Tangaloa surprisingly getting the pin over David Finlay.
There you go. Nice, a nice end of tour 6-man.
Yeah. We have a couple questions here from the listeners. First from Zach Fellows. He says, what would you say is the main thing that is holding back David Finlay from being a credible main eventer?
So I put two things down. One is the fact that he spent so long as a pin eater. Like he was the guy losing on his team for however long. He wasn't really a factor in like singles competition until last year. He got that, shock win over Ospreay. And then, they kind of built him up to an extent after that. Then he got the turn and the new coat of paint, and they're giving him these dominant wins over Tama Tonga and El Phantasmo. In doing that, they cut out like the New Japan big match finishing stretch for him, which worked in like getting him over and establishing this new character, but it hurt the matches, which I think hurt his reputation. So a lot of people don't see him as like a next level guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the fact that his matches don't really hit that next gear. They don't hit that higher echelon unless he's in there with like a guy who can bring him there. So it's a good spot for him, but he's just not. His works just isn't good enough to get to that higher level yet.
Yeah, usually,
and maybe it never will be.
Yeah, usually when he peaks is when he's in there with like Will Ospreay, which of course like everybody's gonna have their best match with Will Ospreay.
I can hit 4 stars with Will Ospreay. I can hit 4 stars with Okada.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, perception is reality, and for so long, like you mentioned, he was a pin eater. He was kind of a job guy in Finjuice and in Hantai in New Japan. He would have some really good matches, but he was just never. If you saw David Finlay against Lance Archer, he was losing. Against Okada, Goto, Tanahashi, like you never really thought Finlay was a guy who was gonna get a win out. I remember one time when he came back from an injury, he like challenged Archer for the U.S. title. Everybody thought, oh, this is his moment, big comeback, and then Archer just like, destroyed him. And so I think he just never really had that credibility. And then Jay White leaves, and then all of a sudden Finlay kind of just slides in there without kind of building to that. Like he should have had some really big wins before becoming the leader of Bullet Club. And then since becoming leader of Bullet Club, he really hasn't feuded with any top guys. He's still kind of in the middle. Like he should be feuding with your Okadas, your Will Ospreays, Sonata, the top guys of other factions. Well, he's kind of feuding with a guy that's also in the middle, that's kind of a part of Hantai, but kind of has his own faction, but not really. So, yeah, I think the booking really hasn't done favors for Finlay either.
Yeah, what really hurt Finlay was the fact that he never, he was a young lion, but he never got an excursion because Matt Sydal had his old situation back then. So they kind of just slid Finlay into that spot. And he never got to take an excursion or anything. So he's been around as this young lion who got elevated who kind of graduated but didn't get the chance to get a new coat of paint or anything. He's just still David Finlay. And then he's, kept losing all the time like a young lion. So he never got that, he never got the natural elevation you get from coming back from excursion and having this, big return and celebration. He kind of got screwed out of that.
Yeah.
So,
in a very similar situation to Hanare. Hanare was a guy that was young lion, kind of transitioned onto the main roster without an excursion, had the injury and then came back, was kind of shifted in that kind of weird, he's not a young lion, but he's going to lose all time until he joins United Empire. So yeah, same thing with Finlay. It's kind of this weird, not a really chance to transition from that, fully from that young lion role to all right, this guy is a serious guy to take.
Yeah.
Next question here from Stale Burger Bun. He says, Tangaloa got the pin over David Finlay at Royal Quest. Should we read way too much into this?
I think it's just putting, getting him hot and getting GOD ready for World Tag League, because I think they're gonna be a factor in that tournament. But other than that, I don't think he's getting any kind of push or anything.
Yeah, I think it's just to kind of set up, like you mentioned, Tama and Loa for World Tag League. And normally, when you look at GOD's record, like usually Tangaloa is the one that picks up the wins when he's teaming with Tama. So in that sense, not surprising. But I think I think Finley's going to be losing up here, like we see a lot of times in New Japan, and it's going to be kind of his way, maybe to be frustrated and maybe go after somebody higher on the totem pole.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see.
Then next question here from MJ Does PR. He says, I saw some wild speculation about the person in the devil mask in AEW that attacked Jay White. Maybe Dave Finlay. Do either of you think that's a possible or good direction?
I don't think an AEW crowd would care very much about David Finlay. Like this Bullet Club, I don't think they have a lot of like US support. I think like the English speaking Bullet Club fans have shifted over to Bullet Club Gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if it is Bullet Club War Dogs, like I'd be into it, but I might be on an island there.
Yeah, I'd be on that island with you. I love the War Dogs. I think it's been a great, new coat of paint for the Bullet Club as a whole. But yeah, the U.S. fan base has just never really been into Finlay. I went to what show was that in L.A. At the Coliseum, like one of the first shows in New Japan.
Resurgence.
Yeah, Resurgence, where they had to build up this whole like Finlay Jay White match, and Finlay was supposed to be the face, and he comes out, crowd is booing this man, and then Jay White comes out, and they're going crazy, throwing up too sweet, and like Jay White was never really one of those guys that did it too sweet, but that night, I don't know what it was, he busted out the curtain, he's too sweet, and everybody, crowd's going wild for him, and Finlay just got rained with booze.
I think that was around the time it was rumored that he was leaving to go to NXT.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that never materialized, but it didn't help him that night.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just never been like a fan favorite. So yeah, if it ends up being him that attacked MJF, I think fans will not be happy and not care. White. Oh yeah, attack Jay White. Yeah, fans will not care or be happy.
I think it was Adam Cole. I don't think he's hurt.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Cole and his crew. I don't think that would make a lot of sense with like how they've told that story, but there's a lot of that story that doesn't make sense. And
yeah.
Not to get into it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I'm right there with you, man. So after this match, we had the team of Ren Narita and Shota Umino defeating the United Empire team of Francesco Akira and Great Okan, 10 minutes and 25 seconds.
Okan losing all over the place in England now. What's up with that?
Yeah, the long undefeated streak's over.
There you go. The Shota Narita mashup theme, I thought it was pathetic. Like they didn't try to tempo match anything or blend it in at a spot like where Umino's music goes down and Narita's music coming up. Like they didn't blend it at all. They just start one, start the other. Switch. Like you might as well just not do it. Like you're just playing both their songs. Yeah, again, fine match, nothing to remember. I think Umino and Narita are either going to win World Tag League or wrestle each other at the Tokyo Dome. That is my prediction here on October 16th.
Yeah, they're definitely teasing those guys being a team for World Tag League. So yeah, I think they'll definitely be in the league. And yeah, I think we'll see a story with them. Yeah, like you mentioned, either maybe going to the finals or winning or having a big match at Wrestle Kingdom. I think them having a big singles match at Wrestle Kingdom would be great. We've kind of seen them already kind of set the foundation for their rivalry. We saw some stuff in the G1. So I think them having like their first big Tokyo Dome singles match would be great.
Yeah, and them being two of the three Musketeers, they're going to be in a big spot. And my thought is Well, I mean, World Tag League's a pretty, that's a nice little accomplishment to have. Or they could just put them against each other and have them wrestle there. For what? I don't know. Maybe maybe we'll get to what it's for later on, but, we'll see. We'll see. I think Schultz has really risen in my eyes because I saw that Naito match was his first, not his first big one. He wrestled Osprey when he first came back.
Yeah.
But that Naito match in January, February, New Beginning time, that really set him back in my eyes. I thought that match stunk.
Yeah.
And, he earned his way back. The Okada stuff was great. I thought he had a very good G1. He's feeling himself now. He feels like he has that confidence of a guy getting a push in New Japan. And I think he's really risen to the level they want him to in the past little while. While Narita, I'm not feeling it with Narita, man. He just feels like a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do, have him be like, the Shibata clone, but he just does not have that energy yet. But I do think these two would have a very good dome match because these two had that very good 20-minute draw in the G1. So I'd be into it if they did the singles match.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always kind of high on Ren Narita as a young lion, and then on Excursion, doing a lot of stuff in New Japan Strong. He had great matches with Tom Lawler there and some other guys, Fred Rosser. And then coming back, I thought he looked great. The whole New Japan NJPW World TV tournament, he was looking great there. The match with Sabre at Wrestle Kingdom. And since then, I feel like he's kind of backslid since then. They stuck him in a strong style group with Suzuki and Despy. And since then, he's just not felt the same, not the same fire. I don't know what it is, but G1 was great with him and Umino. So yeah, I think maybe if they kind of break him out of this whole trio stuff with strong style and let him do more singles, get him in there from the Musketeers and some of the younger guys, I think that would be a better spot for him.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I think too, the look too. I think I get it. He wants to be like Shibata, but I think to most fans, he still looks like a young lion wearing, just the black trunks and stuff like that. So, put your name on the back of the trunks. Do the Ric Flair, initial thing on the front. Something.
Initials in cursive, yeah. I get the Shibata look. It's just, I don't think that's his fit. I don't think that's the path he should be going down because it just does not feel like. It doesn't feel like him. It feels like he's trying to be something. Whereas Tsuji feels like Tsuji. He feels like this is who I am. Umino's got a lot going on, but it kind of feels like he can get there. Like it feels like he is on the right path. Narita, it feels like he's not even on the right path as far as who he is as a wrestler and as a personality. It just feels like he's trying to embody something rather than be that thing.
Yeah, it's like they had this, Shibata whole size on the roster. Like, all right, well, we'll stick Narita in there. He was trained by him. He kind of wrestles like him, looks like him a little bit. Let's just shove him in that spot and see how he does instead of, kind of maybe changing the gear up, letting him kind of find himself, find his own character. But now he has a lot to live up to of, being the son of Strong Style and kind of they want him to be like the next Shibata, and that's big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So Umino got the win this match. It's the Death Rider on Akira. So a big win there for Umino and Narita. Then after that, we had a tag match with LIJ's Bushi and Tetsuya Naito, and they defeated the Just Five Guys team of Doki and Sonata in 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
The IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sonata walking to the ring with the presence and the energy of a man taking the trash to the curb. I do appreciate taking that note because it reminds me that I need to take the trash to the curb tonight. But I'm going to be honest with everybody. I watched this one on 2x speed. It is a Naito tag match in an international show. You ain't filling the notebook with this one.
I was talking to my normal co-host Josh. He's back. He's coming back from vacation. He's just asking, how the show was. And I'm like, there was kind of a lot of house show energy for this show, and especially for this match, like you mentioned. Naito, he's wearing the t-shirt. It's, multi-man tag, not in Japan. It's totally low effort house show Naito.
And Naito, I figured this out earlier this year. Naito is the best wrestler that I don't get excited to see. Like, I have the cognitive awareness that he is a great professional wrestler. I just don't get up to see Naito. Like, he's on a show, I'll be like, all right. And then he has he pulls that Osprey match out, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy is great.
Or he wrestles Okada, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the light switch goes on. It's like, oh yeah, that guy's really good. It's just, he picks his spots, and the rest, he does his thing.
Yeah, so here, Destino on Doki for the win. Post-match, a little face-off between the challenger and the champion. Bushi spits the mist in Sonata's eyes, and Naito throws him out like the trash you mentioned earlier. Just tossed Sonata like he was nothing, and came off as literally just a guy here to me.
Kind of hard to get into this Tokyo Dome main event with Naito walking around with a Target tote bag as the briefcase. I get that's his vibe, but this is the main event. I'm supposed to care. I care because I want Naito to win the belt, so a top guy has the belt. But man. Can we fast forward to New Beginning or wherever this guy is going to lose this belt? I'm already thinking 2 champs down the line. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, you're trying to jump the Naito title run into whatever next.
Do your roll call and let's move on to something else, please.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird spot where, New Japan at the beginning of the year had this big thing we're going to push the young guys. There's going to be a youth movement. All these guys are going to come back from excursion quicker. And then there's a lot of spots where they kind of go same old. Naito winning the G1 and now the main event of a Tokyo Dome. And I'm not saying you throw a young guy in there right away, but I feel like somebody else, something different could have been a fresh thing for this year.
This is, I think, the end of the Naito as a main eventer story, where he gets his storybook ending, he gets the dome, he gets the roll call, all that. So I get it from that perspective. But, it's like I said earlier, he's the best wrestler that I just don't like. So, it's not going to work for me, but it's going to work for the LIJ fans. And I've said it multiple times. The evil thing, I get it, that if it wasn't for the pandemic, I think that would have worked better. I wouldn't have liked it, but I think that would have worked better. The Sonata thing here, I get it, it's got its audience. I am just not in that audience.
Yeah, the LIJ fan base, they're rabid. I'm sure that they love the lore and the story and this whole, the friendship and betrayal and all this stuff. I'm sure they're going to be into it. And overall, I think the crowd in the Tokyo Dome, they'll probably be into it and like it. But yeah, so far the build has kind of been for me. Yeah, Naito running around, like you mentioned, with a little tote bag, and Sonata just kind of being, lacking energy, and just had that, horrible match with Evil. It's just been not a ton of excitement around this main event.
Yeah. Hopefully Sonata gets a reaction at the Tokyo Dome. That would, buck the trend.
We did have a question here from Def Triangle 720. It says, from an in-ring perspective, do you think Sonata versus Naito could surprise people in terms of the work rate?
No. Look, Naito can rise to the occasion. When he has his working boots on, the guy can go. We know it. He's one of the best in the world when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has been waiting for Sonata to just unlock this second level. And we got to come to the realization that second level is not there. Sonata is Sonata. The Browns is the Browns. Sonata is Sonata. That there's no higher tier. There's no higher level. He is who he is. And, if Naito can drag him to the match of his life, that'll be great. That's the best case scenario. But, being in the Tokyo Dome main event, I don't expect that to change anything about Sonata. He's going to walk out there with, that stoic, dopey look on his face. And, he'll have the match. He'll do his thing. And, the people will mildly care, I guess.
Yeah, we often say that Sonata usually wrestles up to a level of who he's in there with. So I think a lot of this match is going to depend on Naito, which Naito shows up. Like you mentioned, if we get, big match, Tokyo Dome, Naito, the same Naito that faces Okada, and Ibushi, like those big matches. Like if we get that Naito at the Tokyo Dome, I think he could elevate Sonata to a great match. But if we get like the Naito we got here, it's going to be a rough night for Sonata. So moving on to the next matchup, we had Eddie Kingston, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Michael Oku defeating the United Empire team of Hanare, Jeff Cobb, and TJP in 10 minutes and 39 seconds.
Gonna be honest, I watched this one on double speed too. I was just ready to get to the top two. But as far as like the match, the Kingston Hanare stuff was pretty good. They're having their match in Vegas. Tanahashi,
looking rough.
It might be time to put Grandpa in the home. You hate to say it, you hate to see it. It's rough, man. And then you got Oku, who, I don't really get it with Oku as my sister walks in. Hey, Blake, what you doing in here? You got any thoughts on this 6-man? Say hey to Jeremy.
What's up, Blake?
Hey. Look at her. But yeah, they've told his story well in Rev Pro, and they built him up to that British audience that like followed him from the Contenders to the heavyweight title. But for me, as someone who like drops in occasionally, his talent isn't really like jumping off the page for me.
Yeah, I feel like he's a guy that they tried really hard with. I think he does have a good fan connection. But I just think to be like a world champion at the very like top level, I don't think he's quite there yet. Obviously, you throw him in there with guys like Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre and Ricky Knight Jr., and he's going to have these great matchups and look great. But some of the matchups where he's not in the ring with those guys don't always pan out, and he just doesn't always hit that top level for me.
Yeah, me neither. But they got him over with, as the mic's not by my mouth at all. They got him over with the British crowd, and that's good. I just have not seen it yet. I have not developed that relationship with Michael Oku yet.
Yeah. But I mean, he was fine here. Had the cool Fosbury flop spot. Tanahashi almost stole his girl.
Yes, I wrote that later. I had that as a punchline for one of the questions later. Who had the best chemistry on the show? Tanahashi and Amira had something going on in that entrance. I felt sparks.
Yeah. And even the post when they were walking back to the ramp, like Oku had to like pull her faster. So Tanahashi. Oh man. So yeah, fine matchup here. Oku rolls up TJP to get the win. But yeah, nothing special here. But that takes us into what people have been talking about, these last two big matchups. So first we had the Dragon Shingo Takagi defeating the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii 21 minutes and 26 seconds.
If you're listening to this show, like unless this is your first show and this is like your intro to New Japan, first of all, welcome. But unless you're new here, you know what this match was. Mm-hmm. Like it's the Strong Style Showcase, the New Japan traveling match. Like these two could have this match in their sleep. They were doing it, and Shingo hit the Made Japan, and I was gonna slap 3.5 on it because I thought that was the finish. Then it wasn't, and they had an awesome closing stretch. So shame on me for doubting these two. One of my notes is all caps in bold, that pumping bomber.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like the audio was working for that.
It sounded like the crack of a whip. Like I was in Chicago for the Danielson Stark strap match. That lariat sounded like Bryan Danielson hitting Ricky Starks with that strap. That was wild.
Yeah, that had to be probably one of the loudest sounding pumping bombers ever. Like I would have been fine if that was the finish because he knocked Ishii into the spirit realm with that one.
Absolutely. And yeah, they had the awesome closing stretch. Ishii's still Ishii. If I had an Observer Hall of Fame vote, I'd give him one, but I don't. And yeah, I went 4 1/4 on this. It was Shingo and Ishii, man.
Yeah.
It's what you expect from these two.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like this was obviously, this the Ishii Shingo formula. These two guys is throwing chops and lariats, fighting spirit, kicking out at 1, a great spot. Where Shingo kicked out at 1 after a lariat, and then Ishii kicked out at 1 after I think it was the Death Valley Driver. Just these big moves, the fighting spirit comebacks, and just some great stuff. Both of them exchanging delayed superplexes. Really great stuff. I was a little bit higher on it than you. It was 4.75 for me. I love these guys, and I don't know. It was an epic matchup for me.
Yeah, when it hits, and it hits hard.
Yeah, Ishii's headbutt towards the end, he killed Shingo with that, and Shingo's eventually able to hit the last of the dragon, get the pinfall on Ishii. Crowd was into the match the whole time too, dueling chants for these guys. Yeah, it's the whole atmosphere and energy for this match. It really picked up from everything else we saw on the card.
Yeah, and then we had the post match, and we got a never title match for Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tama Tonga came out, challenged Shingo, said, I beat you in G1, and let's do it again kind of thing. And Shingo's like, yeah, let's do it in Las Vegas, Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So the match is signed, and I know Chris Charlton was saying on commentary that Tama Tonga wants to take the title back to, the BMF title, the hard-hitting title. So what better way to do that than to face off against Shingo?
You think we get a title change here? You think, Gedo looks around and says, I could use a Shingo title match on the Dome? Let's see.
I mean, if it was me, I would do the title change and, have Shingo in a big match on the Tokyo Dome. But, Tama just got the belt back. And so maybe they want to try him out in a big spot on the Dome. And because I could see Shingo and Tsuji winning World Tag League possibly. You have those guys in a tag title match. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just want Shingo to be doing more, man. Because that guy's still great. Mm-hmm. That's like I still want him in the world title scene, man. Like it annoys me that he isn't, and that it looks like his run will have been during the pandemic. But I just want more for that guy because he's still one of the best wrestlers going right now. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, one of the MVPs during the pandemic era, and I think his world title reign, I think people are not going to give it the credit it deserves because of it being still kind of the clap crowd era, but I thought he was a great world champion, great defenses against guys like Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay, just a great world title run, and yeah, I think he's definitely a guy that should still be in that title picture or put him in, the never picture, U.S. picture. He's a guy that should always be in big title matches and being featured high on the card.
Yeah, that's a guy who should have something to do on like every big show.
Yeah, just an incredibly talented guy. So yeah, hopefully maybe he wins against Tama, or maybe something else will be set up for him at the Tokyo Dome. And then that leads us into the main event for the IWGP US/UK heavyweight title. The champion, Will Ospreay, defeats Zack Sabre Jr. 31 minutes and 19 seconds.
Oh, this had a big feel at the start of it. These two work so well together. It's unreal. Nothing in wrestling pops me more than an ankle pick into a submission hold. Like I did my Brock Lesnar retrospective for voicesofwrestling.com. I watched a lot of Kurt Angle matches, never got sick of it. And so Sabre here, he countered the handspring kick by catching the ankle and turning it into a crab. That it pops me out of my chair every time. The pinning counters these guys had for each other was crazy. Ospreay countering the European clutch every time, and then those two just turning it into a scramble was fantastic. Charlton described it on commentary as these two trying to catch smoke. Yeah, this was just a great main event. I love the arm work from Sabre, Ospreay fighting through it, and getting those hidden blades and winning with the Stormbreaker. Thought this was an excellent main event for this show. I went 4.5 on it. Nice. Loved it.
Yeah, these guys know each other so well, and they did such a great job and a very creative job at countering even some of their small stuff into big counters. And also, I love the hidden blade counter into the armbar from Zack Sabre. And it's just stuff like that. That reverse snapmare thing from the corner Sabre did. Like, there's just a lot of very clever, creative counters. Like, they were scouting each other. Even the small stuff, like you mentioned, like the European clutch and stuff. All the big moves. Zack countered out of the Stormbreaker several times. Ospreay was escaping out of submissions. These guys just going back and forth. And obviously, the selling was great. Like you mentioned, the arm work on Will by Zack, and then Will kind of working over the midsection of Zack Sabre until he could finally get him up for that last Stormbreaker. Yeah, incredible matchup.
Yeah, they had me earlier on because Ospreay hit the hidden blade in the Stormbreaker, and I thought that can't be it, right? And then Sabre kicked out. I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, because people rarely kick out of that combo, the hidden blade Stormbreaker combo, and Zack at one point hit the Zack driver, which has been pretty protected for him as well. A lot of great near falls on their big moves. Ospreay hit the leap of faith, which is that spiral twist inside the ring, which he's been using as a finisher. He used it several times in the G1 and kind of leading up into G1. So that was another great false finish. Crowd obviously really into the match. Lots of songs for both of these guys, and they went out there and absolutely killed it.
Absolutely. Yep.
I had some questions here from Wukong 901. He says, Royal Quest 3 was a fun watch for the most part. I was rather surprised with the amount of empty chairs with Ospreay and Sabre main eventing. What do you guys think about the future when it comes to NJPW and running shows in Britain? With the looming situation of Ospreay's contract status, how do you think it'll pan out in the future?
Assume if we're gonna assume that like those guys are leaving, it's going to be tough because having two of the best British wrestlers on your roster helps to draw in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
They still have that pipeline there, and they still have British talent on the shows. You have, Gabe Kidd, you've got Drilla Maloney, you've got access to these guys, and then, as New Japan moves further away from the pandemic, the idea is that they'll continue rising back in rank in, the Western, in the West, in the English speaking part of the world. But yeah, it'll be a little bit harder without those guys. So maybe they don't do, the copper box anymore, or, you got to give them world title matches. You got to give them like big time stuff to be able to pull it off. So
yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to beef this card up, yeah, you could have thrown a world title match on there. You could have had more tag title match, more defenses, less of like the random 6-man kind of stuff, and made it a more like A-level New Japan show. Yeah,
the main event of the first Royal Quest was Okada Suzuki. Suzuki was, I think that was his last title challenge, but it was still a match that, meant something to the British crowd. There are a lot of people who I think would still call that match the best match to ever happen in England. So, New Japan has the talent to like still get New Japan fans to come to their shows in England. It just may not be the British talent for a little while until they can develop that next crop of, top tier guys.
Yeah, like you mentioned too, I think being a few months from the anniversary show too, in the same building in the Copper Box, with a lot of New Japan guys were on that show as well. So kind of coming back to the same area, same arena, only a few months away. I thought they did pretty good though for drawing in that situation.
Yeah, 1,000 less than the weekend of the biggest, the most tickets sold of all time. Did you see Osprey with the sign after?
Yeah, somebody brought.
He had the sign. The sign with today's attendance 81,035. Very funny.
Yeah, that was great.
I was wondering why they were so specific with that wording at Wembley, and well, we figured out why. We sold 81,000 tickets.
Yeah, and then
maybe 81,000 people didn't show up. Hey, we sold them.
Yeah, and you get the turnstile count, the comp count, who was there, who was not there.
I went off on this in the Voice of the Wrestling Discord earlier today, but AEW might be the most over scrutinized company in the history of wrestling due to just the world it like was built in.
Mm-hmm.
Were we talking about turnstile counts in 98? I don't know.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of people who have grown up with just WWE and them being the big show in town, and people are just not used to having another promotion that's on that level, that's drawing big. I went to All In, and I was on the airport getting ready to head home, and some guy was like, "Oh, nice shirt. That was a nice show, but it wasn't no WrestleMania. They didn't do 100,000." And it's like,
bro, like they don't have 100,000 seats. Like, it's like people who argue with you about the WrestleMania 3 number. They can't fit that many chairs on the floor. They can't fit 12,000 on the floor. They did not outdraw the Pope.
Yeah. It's just crazy to see how much people just believe anything that WWE throws out there, and then when you hit them with the facts and the research, they're like, Yeah,
it's like they don't really have any reason to question it. Like, they don't look into it. It's just, it is what it is. They're kind of unaware.
Yeah.
They don't mean to be, but they are. They don't.
Yeah. Next question here from Rambone Slam Pig. He says, I know Ospreay is pretty much sure to be leaving, so do you find surprising that he's winning all the big feature matchups this year? Is it because he's able to get his opponents over in defeat? Because there's hope for a future working relationship, or something else?
I think it's smart on New Japan's part. You still have Osprey under contract, and when he might be leaving. It's not even done yet that he is leaving. So until then, you can use him to his fullest potential. Sell shows like this, use them on the big events, and then if that last day comes, hey, have somebody ready to get the belt off of them, get that big scalp, and go on about your day. That's how they did things in the territories. Guys would have 6-month runs, get pushed for 5, lose on the way out. So New Japan gets the best of Osprey. Osprey still gets these big main events. He gets these dream matches. New Japan makes that Marufuji match happen. They give him all sorts of stuff, and everybody wins.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, man, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, especially this year. And yeah, I think it would make New Japan look kind of goofy if they had him just losing all these matches when you know how great he is. He's a top star. He's a draw. So yeah, why would you kill that while you have him? And I think also, yeah, you continue to build him up until you know for sure that he's leaving. And then, yeah, you have somebody there, a young guy. Maybe it's Suji or Umino or somebody like that beats him, sends him on the way out, and then they get elevated by beating him coming off this hot streak.
It's a thing WWE does a ton where it's like, you're leaving in 6 months. Well, you're jobbing for 6 months. And it's like, that's silly. You've got the guy for 6 months. You can do whatever you want with him. You can milk him for all he's worth and then get rid of him. Like, it's a silly line of thought, I think.
Yeah, and I think, WWE also they're very worried about where the guy's going to go after the contract.
They want to devalue him before he gets there, but that's to their own detriment. Like, you can make money with him while he's here.
Right, and we know that AEW and New Japan are working together, so if Will does jump, obviously there is a possibility of him coming back. Also, there'll be Forbidden Door. He'll still be very much linked to the company. United Empire with Aussie Open and AEW, that's kind of floating between both companies now. So he'll definitely probably still have some kind of presence in New Japan. So yeah, why devalue him? Why beat him like that?
Right.
The next question here from Les Commission 7252. One thing I recognized from the pay-per-view last Monday was the Chris chemistry from the special matches that mattered on the show. I even believe that Tangaloa and Chase Owens had good chemistry. Who on this night had the best chemistry? I would have to go with Tama and Finlay.
For me, now is he talking about this show or was he talking about Destruction?
So I think he
said last Monday.
Yeah, so I think Destruction, he said he knows a lot of chemistry there and was wondering who had the most chemistry on this show.
On this one, yeah. Okay. I mean, I thought it was like Osprey and Sabre. Those two just did not miss a beat with each other. They were, they were zigging, they were zagging, they were always on the right page. And that's just from, a decade of working like in the same places and around each other and working with each other. So yeah, I think it was Osprey and Sabre.
Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, like I mentioned, just some of the counters that they did, like you can't do that stuff if you don't have chemistry and not to mess up or slip up or be off beat. Like they were just in sync the whole time and the wrestling was so fluid. So yeah, definitely those guys. I would also argue too Shingo and Ishii. I mean, those guys have wrestled, like 6, 7, 8 times now, and every time it's great, and they don't miss a beat either. Let's see, next question here. Death Triangle 720 says, do you think New Japan did themselves a disservice by having pointless matches on big cards just to fill in time than just having a shorter card?
I remember, it was the tail end of the era where New Japan would have these stacked one-night cards for a Destruction or a Power Struggle or whatever the May Tour is, Dantaku. Mm-hmm. They would have just these big one-night cards with all the title matches. They'd have special singles matches. It would be just bang, 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 big match, big match, big match. And the demand for shows grew and New Japan was growing. So they figured, hey, why put this all on one show when we could put it on 3? So they would spread them out. A show with 7 title matches became 3 shows with like the junior titles on one, mid-card titles on another, heavyweight on the third. I think that style gives us more great matches because they aren't like, in each other's way. They aren't eating up time on the same show. But I do miss that rapid fire, like those show of the year contenders, because it would be insane. You'd have like 7 big matches on one show, and they'd all deliver to an extent.
Yeah, I think, I definitely sometimes miss that era where, you had like the single big show, but like you mentioned, that they grew and had the ability to do 2 Tokyo Domes and 2 destructions and wherever, 3 destructions and wherever, and kind of spread the cards out. I feel like for a show like this, it's kind of hard when it's kind of placed right after, Destruction Ryogoku, one of the big shows they had there. So I think some of the timing kind of came off here, but I think for the UK fans, they don't always see these New Japan guys that often. So I think for them, it's kind of a treat if you load the card up, even if it is some of these multi-man matches, just so that they can see some of these guys. But also, I get it from like a viewing standpoint. We kind of went through the first, 8 matches of this card, and we're like, it was fine, 3 stars. And then you finally get to like, Ishii, Shingo, and Ospreay, Sabre. But it kind of is what it is in the schedule.
Yeah.
And then question here from Matty T says Royal Quest 3 was really fun live, even if the crowd did seem a little subdued in parts, especially in the baggy middle matches. I don't feel that any of the Bret Rest talent put in a strong showing to earn a call-up. Did anyone put themselves on your radar?
I thought Kai and Slater did pretty well, for their respective ages. Robbie X, he impressed me as well. I wouldn't mind him coming over for a tour and seeing how he fits in with the New Japan roster. That was pretty much it for me. Like Oku, I know of, and a lot of people like. But I thought those 3 guys, having not seen them before this show, I thought those guys were impressive.
Yeah, definitely probably the same guys for me. Yeah, Leon Slater, that guy's incredible. His match with Ospreay a few months ago was insane, and I think he's definitely a guy you could bring into a Super Juniors maybe next year. Robbie X, another guy you could bring into Super Juniors. Luke Jacobs, I think, is really good. He didn't show everything he had in the Suji match, but if you go back and watch the Ishii match, you'll see what he's kind of made of. So I think he's a guy that can get some more seasoning, and he could be good. And I think he's a guy that people should be watching. And so after the post match and the Ospreay Sabre match, we had Shota Umino coming out and challenging Will Ospreay. He tells Will to bring both the US and UK belts, and seems like this match is going to happen at Power Struggle. Seems like this is leading to the rumored return of the IC title.
And then Umino also, Ospreay then asked Umino that if he wants that match, he wants his boy Okan booked against Jon Moxley. So those 2 matches lining up that being made there, that makes me think they might have something on the books for the Dome.
Yeah, all signs could be pointing to a Ospreay Mox rematch.
Yeah. Or if you need something for Umino and Narita to fight for, and Ospreay and Mox doesn't really need a belt, maybe you put that belt on Umino and have your 2 of your 3 Musketeers in a big showcase match. I would expect Ospreay and Mox to have the title in it just because of how New Japan's structured and like where that match would place on the card, as opposed to Umino and Narita.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to discount that possibility either.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great way to elevate Umino finally beating Will. I believe this will probably be, this will be like the 3rd time he'll be facing Will. So to finally beat him and, unify the belts, bring back the IC title, I think would be a cool thing for him. And then you have that big match with Narita on the Tokyo Dome, really elevate both those guys. And yeah, Mox and Ospreay are two big stars that you don't necessarily need the title for that. So yeah, that could be your special singles match, big match that will draw the Western fans.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to shift gears over to Super Junior Tag League. So this tournament's going to kick off this weekend, October 21st, at the start of the Road to Power Struggle Tour, and the finals will take place on November 4th at Power Struggle. So we got a single block tournament here. Had the teams announced this past week. So we'll go through each team and we'll give our thoughts on what we think about the teams here. So first, we have a new team here of Yo and Musashi from Michinoku Pro. So Leo Rush is out, and they were teasing a mystery opponent for Yo all week. Then Yo makes a surprise visit to Michinoku Pro, and during the intermission, he invited Musashi to form a team of him for Super Junior Tag League, and they have a history as amateur wrestlers in high school, so they've been friends for a while. They have some chemistry, and so it's going to be a fresh debut entry here for Super Junior Tag League.
Well, I know you've been keeping up with your Michinoku Pro tapes, Jeremy, so do they make tape anymore?
Honestly, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I looked up Musashi. He was on the Junior Festival in Japan. I don't know anything about the guy. I do wish this was Leo Rush. I feel bad that he missed the Destruction show. Yeah, wish it was Leo, but I'll give Musashi a chance. Yo's kind of grown on me since the Best of Super Juniors. I thought he had a really good tournament. So yeah, we'll see how this team works. I don't think they're going to be dying to do much with a Michinoku Pro guy, but Yo had a hookup, and now they can fill out the field.
Yeah, I thought Musashi looked good at the Junior Festival, and I've heard a lot of rave reviews about him. He's the top guy, Michinoku Pro, so always great to get a great fresh face and a new guy that's talented. And so yeah, I'm interested to see how him and Yo are going to work together. Like you said, yeah, I would definitely wish it was Leo Rush. I feel like that Leo Rush and Yo tag team has been great, and they kind of bring out the best in each other. So yeah, hopefully this past friendship of chemistry here will be great for Yo and Musashi, and we'll get some great stuff from them. So second team here, the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Kushida and Kevin Knight. This is their second consecutive appearance.
Boy, Kushida doesn't matter anymore, huh?
Yeah.
That guy is eating pins left and right. Didn't do anything in Super Juniors this year. It's a total non-factor now.
Yeah, the booking of Kushida since coming back to New Japan has been very weird. I know he had the whole thing with the hand, foot, and mouth disease, but since then it's just been stuck him in this tag team with Kevin Knight, and then they did win the junior tag titles, but that was a short run. Like you mentioned, Super Juniors losing a lot. Yeah, it's been kind of a weird way to book a guy that used to be the ace of the junior division.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Kevin Knight get more reps. I think he's got a very high ceiling.
Mm-hmm. But, literally, how high he jumps.
Yeah, he'll jump through the ceiling too. But I don't really see them doing much. I think they had that title reign to establish themselves as a team. Maybe they're in the mix at the end, but I don't think they're gonna be winning it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win either, but I could definitely see, as former champions and one of the more established teams in this field, I could see them being alive towards the last few days. The next team here, we have a debut entry team of Ryusuke Taguchi and the DKC.
So Rocky wasn't making this tour, huh?
Hey man, Rock is traveling all over the place. He's winning MLW titles. He's gonna face Mystico on Rampage. He don't got time for Tag League.
sold 1,000 tickets after that Mystico announcement.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, big stuff.
Put that in your Flair Thez award. Will they score a point? Maybe. Will the DKC get a pin? We'll see. Like, this team's gonna end up at the bottom of the block. So, it's about it.
Yeah, also, Taguchi in this stage in his career is not really giving us much besides, shoving things up his butt. So
I did appreciate Taguchi this year in Super Juniors playing it straight.
Yeah, that was good.
He played it straight. He had a couple no-book matches. Then he had that last match with Kushida where they were both desperate for points, and he got the win with his butt out. Like, it popped me at the end that he is the spot he always does. It popped me because he saved it for the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DKC, I feel kind of bad for him. I feel like he was really picking up some momentum on the weekly strong shows, and then those went away, and he's kind of been on some lower spots in some of the bigger strong pay-per-view shows I've done this year. I think he's really good, but he just hasn't had a time to get more reps and really be in Japan. So I think this will be a good tour for him, but unfortunately he's teamed up with Taguchi here.
Yeah, I don't know how well the white guy doing karate in Japan is gonna go. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe if he gets the Daniel LaRussa haircut, they might buy it. But that'd be stepping in Speedball's territory.
Yeah. Next team, another debut entry, El Desperado and Master Wato. So this team coming together after the best of 7 between Strong Style and Team Nagata, which ended in a 3-3-1 draw.
Yeah, so we got the Umino Narita team. We might get the Suzuki Nagata team. And we got this team here. It's interesting. I don't see them winning it, but, they've earned each other's respect. They're going to be, they're two good wrestlers, so I figure they can have some good tag matches here.
Yeah.
It's an interesting look here.
Yeah, that's be a top guy in the division. Wato did win Super Juniors this year, and a lot of people have forgotten that.
I legit forgot until you just said that. I watched that whole tour. Like if you asked me who won, I would have been able to tell you. I just did not. It didn't click with me that, oh yeah, he is the Super Junior winner.
Yeah, so hopefully they remember that and book him like that in this tournament. So,
they might win this.
Yeah, being two top guys, and I don't think either of them will be in the title picture for Tokyo Dome. So that would be a good spot if they win to have them challenge War Dogs. Let's see, next team here, Doki and Taka Michinoku from Just Five Guys, another debut entry here.
Taka got the pin at the Kobe show, and I popped out of my chair for it. I was like, Taka scoring falls.
Yeah, I'm like, let's
They're
go.
Heating them up. Yeah, but they're gonna be at the bottom of the block too. Yeah, I like Dookie. They don't, he's not doing much right now, but I like him. But Taka he's gonna be counting all these lights.
Yeah, Taka, one of the ultimate pin eaters. But yeah, they'll have some fun matches. And yeah, Doki always goes out there and kills himself, does all these crazy dives all over the place. So they'll be fun to watch, but definitely, I don't see them scoring many points. Then next up, we have Bushi and Titan. This is their second entry, second consecutive. So, and they were pretty high up in the rankings last year.
I hope Titan gets some shine this year. He exceeded my expectations in Super Juniors. I did like a roundup of like the first week of Super Juniors, and in it I wrote that Titan's still in it, but he's not winning. And then he went on to win the block and be in the final and have an incredible just last 3 matches in that tournament. So that guy, I think he's got himself over in Japan. I hope they give him something here. I think they will. Problem is, he's teaming with Bushi. And Bushi, I don't know. Can he bring it at all? I hope.
He'll bring some great masks.
Yeah. He'll look good. He'll look cool. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, like you, yeah, I was definitely impressed with Teton's performance in Super Juniors. I feel like every year he's been in New Japan, he gets better and better. And I think he really elevated his star presence with those last few matches in Super Juniors and that final with Master Wato. And these guys being LIJ, I think that they will once again kind of have a good standing here and a shot to potentially get into the finals. Then the 17th, we have the Ichiban Sweet Boys of Robbie Eagles and Kosei Vegeta of TMDK.
Keep an eye on Fujita here. Because last year in this tournament, it was Kushida and Black Tights young lion, Kevin Knight. And then in the middle of the tour, Kevin Knight graduated. He got his gear. They were a team. I don't think they got their name until later, but they were a team. Kushida was teaming with the guy on the roster.
Yeah.
And then Fujita, they clearly like him because they put him in a unit already. So, if Fujita's got gear, don't say I didn't tell you.
Yeah, and this past month, he's been in Australia with Robbie Eagle. Ichiban Sweet Boys have been touring all over Australia, tag teaming together. So they've been picking up wins there, building some momentum, building some chemistry. So yeah, this could be a situation where first match, maybe Vegeta's new gear, graduated, and he's back full time.
Yeah, they've talked about, speeding up the young lion process. You got, Fujita over in Australia. You got, who is it that went to Noah that came back for the TV title shot?
Well, I'm blanking on his name right now. Oiwa.
Oiwa, yeah. So they just, he didn't even leave the country. He's just working Noah shows. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Fujita's, full-fledged roster member now.
Yeah, and I think that would be great. Guy's great, and yeah, they talked about, you mentioned speeding up the process, so let's get him in the mix. Robbie's a great guy for him to be teamed up with, and I think, yeah, they'll be a fun team to watch in this tournament.
Imagine Yuya Uemura spending 2 years in Impact. Meanwhile, Fujita spends 3 months in Australia, and he's back already.
Next team here, former IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions Catch 2-2, TJP and Francisco Akira, their second entry, second consecutive.
These two are the best team that don't team that much. They came together in the middle of 21?
Yeah, I think so.
22?
21, 22, somewhere in that time frame. Yeah.
And they would have been a tag team of the year contender if they were teaming that whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Their run has been great. They haven't tagged since the Philly double shot with Impact. And before then they hadn't teamed since the Independence Day show. So it's 3 times in 3 months. So I'm excited to see them in this tag league because I think those two are a phenomenal pair together, which is crazy because they had barely been in the ring before they teamed up and won the tag titles.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought their tag title run was great. They were so close to breaking the junior tag reign defense in length. And yeah, they came together quickly, great chemistry. They had a great Super Junior Tag League last year. So yeah, I think they'll be definitely one of the top teams to watch here. I think they'll have great matches with a lot of the teams in this field. And like you mentioned, yeah, they are one of the teams for Forbidden Door, you're willing Okada, Omega. I want to will Catch 2-2 versus Young Bucks.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And so, yeah, these guys are a great team, former champions, and had a great match in the Tokyo Dome last year against Leo Rush and Yo. So I expect them to be potential winners here. Then second to last team, we have the Bullet Club War Dogs, the current IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions. This will be their debut entry. It's Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney.
All right, so they aren't winning because they're the champs in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the list, who could they lose to? I could see Despy and Wato. I can see Catch 2-2. Maybe Bushi and Teton if you want a new challenger team, but I just said Despy and Watto, they'd be new because they've never teamed before.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at it, I can see 2 or 3 teams that could knock them out of the final. It just depends on who they pick.
Yeah, and they kind of a personal rivalry with Catch 2-2. They took the belts off of them, and that was kind of a heated feud there leading into the Independence Day show. So yeah, you could kind of re-stoke the flames there with that rivalry, and then they just beat the Jet Setters. You could have them get a win back, and with these single block tournaments, a lot of times anybody who loses to the champ or beats the champs, they get thrown in the match too, and you end up getting a multi 3-way, 4-way sometimes. And then the last team up here, Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from the House of Torture. This is going to be their debut entry.
I popped for the Kanemaru turn. Who knew you couldn't trust a guy who called himself the heel master? But yeah, I'm not very excited about this because now he's in House of Torture.
Yeah, so he's going to crank up his antics up. We're going to see probably a lot more spitting of the whiskey and whiskey bottle
shenanigans.
Shots. Yeah. So not looking forward to any of their matchups. They'll probably be the low end on any of the nights here. They have some questions here. Def Triangle 720 says, with the Super Junior Tag League being the most stacked it's been in years, who should win the tournament, or would it be better to have a 4-way for the titles at Wrestle Kingdom?
I don't really prefer a 4-way. Like, it wouldn't shock me. They haven't done it in a while because they haven't really had the depth of team. It's been 2v2, or they had the 3-way like a couple years ago, but yeah, it wouldn't shock me, but it would disappoint me. Just pick a team and go with it. Yeah. My pick would be Catch 2-2. My hope is that it's Catch 2-2. My dark horse pick, though, would be Eagles and Fujita if Fujita graduates.
Yeah. I think that the old playbook used to be the 3-way, 4-way tags. Last year, they did a straight-up tag with Leo Rush and Yo against Catch 2-2. So, yeah, I hope that they do that. I think, 2 versus 2 is a lot better than throwing in 3-4 teams, especially if those teams lost in the tag league. So yeah, I think Catch 2-2 for me is probably the team I'm looking at winning. But I wouldn't be surprised if Desperado and Watto end up winning.
I'm pretty sure the Young Bucks, Red Dragon, Forever Hooligans, and Time Splitters wrestled each other maybe 50 times. Those combos.
Yeah, but they were great every time, though.
They were awesome. Like, we'd complain, like, God, these guys again? And then they'd have like a 4.25 star match.
Yes. Next question here from Rambo and Slam Pig says, do you think the lack of outside participants in the Super Junior Tag League is surprising or to be expected given the one block format?
I'm not too surprised. Like, they can fill out a Super Junior. They can fill out like a Best of the Super Juniors with this group. You have your pin eaters like Taka and Taguchi in there. Musashi's a bit of a surprise because I didn't know that guy existed until he popped up here. But, they could fill out a tournament with their juniors. And, I think anybody expecting an AEW team or whatnot to like fill these things out, I'm sure it's always tough with AEW involvement because there are people who treat New Japan like it's AEW developmental. Like, they're trying to sell tickets here and develop their own talent. But, it's, and I'm sure Tony Khan doesn't want to lose a bunch, his talent for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. If Dante Martin's ankle was pointed the right way, would Top Flight have been in this? I would have liked it, but it isn't, so they aren't.
Yeah. Also, too, this league is happening as a part of like the Road to Power Struggle tour, so it's like not like a quote unquote like big tour. Like the big show on this tour is going to be the last Power Struggle show, so it's not like you want to bring in a bunch of outsiders, such a smaller part of the tour.
Yeah, you're not bringing in a bunch of outsiders to have the semi-main event in Osaka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question here from Raising Falcon says, if it wasn't for the podcast, would you guys really bother watching the Super Junior Tag League? They should just do away with this tournament.
I mean, it's another tour for the juniors. Like, it's not at the top of my list, but I'm more interested than usual after I thought they had a great Super Juniors tournament this year. I think 2023 is going to be one of those seminal tournaments for me because I thought this year's tournament was fantastic. But yeah, I'm more interested in it than usual. Gives the juniors some more work, and I think New Japan's put some effort into these tag divisions since the pandemic, because these if this was 2018, I would have been like, amen, brother, get rid of this. But they've put some work in. Like, it was it was a real weak spot for New Japan, and they've shored that up.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good teams in this tournament. When you look at the resumes, like you mentioned, Catch 2-2, you look at the War Dogs, Bushi and Teton, Eagles and Fujita. Like, there's a lot of really great guys, Despy and Watto. There's going to be some really good matches. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that hits, the notebook, and it's going to be a fun tournament to watch. You can skip the undercard, go straight to the tournament matches. I think it'll be a fun watch.
I think tournaments, like, for a lot of people, like, they see the list of names and they don't see like the top end as much as they see the bottom end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that was the case for G1 this year, where they had a lot of like talent at the top, but then you see like the TMDK tag guys, you see just the bottom of the roster there, and you're thinking, oh god. But those guys aren't really going to be like higher than second on the card, so you skip those, get through it, and there'll be some gold in these hills.
Yeah. Last questions here from MJSPR. It says, what tag matchups are you both looking forward to?
Catch 2-2 versus Eagles and Fujita. Circle that one, because I think that could be fantastic.
Yeah, TJP and Eagles had a really great match, if I remember, from Super Juniors. They had some great chemistry, so yeah, that should be fun.
Basically, every Catch 2-2 match that isn't the House of Torture match,
yeah,
just have that circled. Eagles and Fujita, they're going to be a team I keep an eye on, because I think like Fujita's like really good already, and then I love Robbie Eagles. Despy and Watto, I'll see how that works out. And then everything else, we'll pick and choose. I'll give Yo and Musashi a chance.
Yeah, I think there's a potential to have a lot of good matches here. But yeah, Catch 2-2, they're probably going to be the MVPs. I think them and Bushi and Teton will be one to look out for as well. He also asked thoughts on El Watorado.
I like it. It's a nice use of the of a couple guys that you didn't really have partners for, and yeah, nice use of those guys. They might win this thing. I'm not sure if they will, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a team to look out for, considering their standings in the singles division in the junior division. So I'll definitely circle them, and I think it'll be a fun team. I think it'll be, can they coexist that will actually work out. And so we have the first night of the Super Junior Tag League coming up this weekend, October 21st. So the card, we got Narita, Umino, and Yuto Nakashima taking on Callum Newman, Great Okan Hinare. Oleg Bolton and Oscar Lube taking on Sonata and Yuya Uemura. Gato and Taiji Ishimori taking on Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito. Catch 2-2 will take on Ichiban Sweet Boys. We'll have the Intergalactic Jet Setters taking on Just Five Guys, Doki and Taka. We'll have Taguchi and DKC versus Desperado and Watto. We'll have the Bullet Club War Dogs taking on Musashi and Yo. And then the main event will be Bushi and Teton taking on Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
I don't know why that's the main event, but there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like with looking like G1, where you kind of question like, why are certain matches the main event and some aren't. I definitely probably would have main evented with Catch 22 and Ichiban Sweet Boys here, but it is what it is.
Hikuleo and Sonata? That's how we're starting this thing? All right. I guess.
Exactly. All right, going to transition into some news items here. So this past week, NJPW and Stardom had their joint business strategy presentation. They announced that Stardom will be running an event on January 4th prior to Wrestle Kingdom 18. The show will be headlined by IWGP Women's Championship match, which the current champion is Mayu Iwatani. The event will take place in Tokyo Dome City Hall. Stardom noted that tickets will be made easily available for overseas fans, and Stardom wrestlers won't be a part of the Wrestle Kingdom 18 card. What do you think about that?
I think it's funny that last year they gave them 5 minutes, and this year they're like, okay, just get us in, and we'll do our show before yours. I think that's funny.
Yeah, this whole kind of rollout of a quote unquote women's division in New Japan is just not worked out really well.
They wanted to get the Sasha stands watching Wrestle Kingdom, and they did. I laugh at the thought of them watching that Inoki Tribute 6-man from the pre-show. Like, look at these old men go. Like, that was very funny.
Yeah, dude, I watched it live, and I was seeing the Sasha stands being like, who are these old guys? Like, they're great.
They can go. Like, about Minoru Suzuki. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much thoughts on like Stardom itself. I'm like, Stardom's one of my blind spots. Joshi's one of my blind spots. They made this title for Sasha. Sasha had it. They made the strong title for Sasha. Well, Mercedes. Mercedes.
Money.
And well, she broke her ankle. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now they've got a belt and they don't really know what to do with it.
And they have 2 belts and don't know what to do. Yeah, I mean, I like the times when they would throw on Stardom matches as kind of, dark matches or part of like the openers, but I think it's totally fine for them to have their own thing. They have their own fan base, and I think just kind of giving them their own show will be probably the right move for them.
Yeah, Geto made it clear, like, okay, you're here. We're doing our own thing. We'll give you like an opener or something.
Yeah.
Like, he made it clear like this was not a priority to him.
Right, yeah.
So, I think this is better. I don't think this will like pacify anybody. Like, the people who will complain, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to see their credit card charges because I don't think you see a Stardom World charge on there, but whatever.
They also announced at the presentation another joint New Japan Stardom show is coming soon. The show is tentatively titled Historic Crossover 2, which will take place in 2024. They also...
yeah, I don't think they need to do much more thinking about that title.
Yeah, that's just... Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah. They also announced that New Japan Stardom are partnering with other promotions from Asia to create the Asia Pacific Pro Wrestling Alliance, which is going to be a big focus to grow wrestling in Asia.
That's interesting. WWE's been poking around in Japan again, so New Japan and Stardom keeping their eyes out, trying to be strong in the face of Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, and Abari has...
I was going to say Keiji Muto leading that Trojan horse in with that bag of money he's got.
Yeah. You can trust these guys.
That jerk.
But yeah, Obari mentioned, wanted to expand wrestling other parts of Asia. So yeah, this is going to be part of the strategy. Should be interesting.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see these spot shows. I heard New Japan's doing a show in Taiwan next year.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, maybe there's some hidden talent there.
Yeah, we'll see. I like wrestling in different places, wrestling in places that don't usually have it.
Yeah. Then we had some announcements for Power Struggle. So we're going to have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Hiromu Takahashi will defend against Taiji Ishimori. We'll have the Never Openweight 6-man titles on the line. Ishii, Tanahashi, and Okada defending against TMDK, Shane Hayes, Mikey Nichols, and Zack Sabre Jr. Uemura and Sonata will take on Tsuji and Naito. And then we'll have the Super Junior Tag League Finals.
Interested to see how that junior heavyweight title match goes. I think Hiromu's winning, but I'm interested in seeing what's his dome match, because he's beaten a lot of guys. Is Leo are they gonna get Leo back for the dome? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a great spot to bring Leo in. I feel like he built up a lot of momentum going into that 3-way. So that
he might have been winning it.
It's possible. So that would be cool. Or if there's some other, maybe a bigger outsider. I know Hiromu's wrestled a lot of guys in different promotions this year. Maybe they can bring in some big junior. I don't know who exactly that would be, but somebody big for him to have a big Tokyo Dome match.
And Hiromu's not in Super Junior Tag League, so there's nobody that could pin him and get a title shot later.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely get a post-match angle alert here. Somebody, either a video package or somebody coming out and challenging him afterwards.
Yeah, something big's happening there. 6-man tag titles. I'm interested to see this finish because I don't think they're gonna bother defending the belts at the Dome. They'll just do it on they'll do it the next night at Dash. But Okada being a 6-man champ at the Dome, that just sounds weird.
Yeah.
Okada's going to be doing something big at the Dome, I feel, because, it's Okada. I don't think it's going to be a 6-man. So, will they put the belts on TMDK? I mean, they're a good trio.
Yeah, I mean...
And then... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to get the belts off of Tanahashi, Okada, and Ishii, I feel this is a great trio. You could easily have Zack, I think, beat Ishii or Tanahashi in this match.
Yeah. And then, unless you want Ishii to get his win back on Sabre, because I think they pinned them before Destruction to earn this shot.
That's right. Yeah.
And then it'll be interesting to see Yuya and Tsuji in the ring together.
Yeah,
that's going to be their first time against each other, I think.
Yeah, since coming back from Excursion. Yeah, I think that'll be also, I think, the bigger highlight than seeing Naito and Sonata in there.
Yeah. You said it. Can you tell I'm not excited for that match?
Yeah,
have I been masking that?
Well, you're right there for a lot of the fan base. I don't think, besides the LIJ sickos, I don't think there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to Sonata Naito.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those LIJ sickos, so I can't blame them.
Yeah. But yeah, Tsuji and Uemura, that should definitely be interesting. And maybe that will spark something for them at the Tokyo Dome.
Possibly.
Then we had 4 new matches announced for Fighting Spirit Unleashed. We're going to have...
This card looks wild.
Yeah, they're so... It's kind of like random matches here. So strong openweight tag team titles. You got ELP and Hikuleo defending against Monster Sauce, Lance Archer, and Alex Zane. Another team up here of Sonata and Uemura will take on Naito and Hiromu. And then there's going to be a strong openweight championship #1 contenders match with Jeff Cobb, Satoshi Kojima, Alex Coughlin, and Fred Rosser. And then
that's so awesome. Kojima in a 4-way.
They hit random on WrestlePro, or what's the game?
Fire Pro.
Yeah, Fire Pro. Yeah, they hit random on Fire Pro for that 4-way. And then Filthy Tom Lawler will take on Gabe Kidd.
Gabe Kidd, who, by the way, we didn't mention this earlier, he jumped Will Ospreay in his backstage, in his backstage comments.
Yes.
So keep an eye on that. We're getting Ospreay Kidd. I would be into that.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, this card is going to be pretty interesting. There's also going to be some CMLL representation on this card. Eddie Kingston defending against Hanare. This should be a pretty fun card here.
Yeah, it'll be a U.S. show for New Japan. It'll be what it is.
Yeah. Also in the U.S. world, they announced that Mayu Iwatani will be in action at Lone Star Shootout in Garland, Texas on Friday, November 10th. She will be defending her title at the show. No opponent has been named as of yet.
They have the women's tag match in Vegas, so I assume someone from there will challenge.
Yeah, so I think that'd be probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, that's probably the play.
Then other news, Boltin Oleg will be getting his NJPW World TV title shot on October 24th against Zack Sabre Jr. on the Road to Power Struggle.
Them making sure Oleg gets his title shot is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely part of his progression plan or whatever what they want to do with him. Because usually they wouldn't normally make a big deal to do this rematch.
He had that wrist infection, was it?
Yeah.
That's a weird injury, but he had a wrist infection. He lost the title shot. Like, I would have expected New Japan to just be like, all right, moving on, but they're making sure to get this man his title shot, which I got an Iggy on that. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I wonder, is he gonna win? Like, is it gonna be a draw? Like,
I don't know. I have a weird feeling about this.
Yeah, definitely gonna be one to circle and keep our eyes out for. Other news: New Japan announced New Japan World will be going under its renewal and relaunch. The refresh service will be launching on Thursday, November 9th, 6 p.m. Japan time. We had a question from Rainbow and Slam Pig. I'm excited about the NJPW World relaunch. Any thoughts on what has been announced so far? Any deep cut gems on there you would recommend to watch prior to November 9th, when a lot of the content won't be available for a while?
I'll answer your second question first. I'm not super well versed in New Japan history, so I wouldn't have anything for you. I do think it's disappointing that it won't be available at launch, a lot of that back catalog, but hopefully they can get it back available, pretty quick. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see the better, UI, the better streaming quality. Like, the New Japan World shows, like, when you compare them to the Access shows, it's of the same matches, it looks awful compared to that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that. And I'll be honest, if they just cribbed the Wrestle Universe format, I wouldn't be mad at all. Like, Wrestle Universe is such a good service that it makes me think about watching one of the promotions on Wrestle Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes me think, I could get into DDT, right?
Yeah.
I could get into there's Kaz Fujita. I'll be trying again in a month.
Yeah, I watched that Ospreay Marufuji match on there. I'm like, man, like, this is great user experience, crisp. HD.
Clean.
Yeah.
They got the 4K cameras. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I do know for this relaunch, there's going to be full HD videos for everything. So I'm guessing it's going to look more like the Access TV production. There's going to be actually a standalone app you can download on your phone. There's going to be the offline, so you can download stuff and watch it offline. So you're traveling, you can load up your phone, your iPad with some, classic G1 Final stuff, throw that on there. So I know that's some new features. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff like that they're going to be adding to this relaunch. Digging
it. Long overdue, and I'm glad it's happening because I was ready for it to just never happen. And, I would have been fine with it because it's still, live New Japan, but seeing that they put the work in and they're going to be refreshing this thing it's good to see. And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and I'm sure for like deep cuts, I'd probably say, look at some of like the 80s stuff before they can pull it over, watch some of the Steiner Brothers stuff, Inoki stuff some of the big Fujinami, some of the big title matches stuff there. Some of the stuff we've recommended over the years on a recommended match of the week, stuff like that. Watch before it gets pulled and take their time to get it back up. And then last piece of news here, our good friend Rocky Romero, he won the MLW middleweight title this past weekend. And then this Friday on AEW Rampage, he'll be facing Mystico for Mexico's pound-for-pound crown.
Yeah, so they both have titles in CMLL. Rocky's got the historic welterweight title, and I think Mystico's got the historic middleweight belt. So they're doing like a pound for pound fight there. So that'll be cool. I'm very interested to see Mystico in AEW. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out with the AEW relationships there with New Japan, CMLL. They had a thing going with AAA. Does that keep going? We'll see about that. And then MLW is a fake promotion, but good that Rocky won something there.
Yeah, man. I think Rocky is one of the most underrated guys right now. This guy's been traveling all over the place between MLW, CMLL. He does sometimes an Impact, random indies, AEW. He's
having himself a year, and good for him because he's great.
Yeah, so underrated. And a lot of guys sometimes would see him as like a manager or a job guy, but yeah, still a great professional wrestler, having a great year. Really looking forward to that Mystico match you mentioned earlier. Big increase in tickets with the announcement of that match, and I'm hearing they want to do the authentic CMLL presentation. Rocky's going to have his Dale Azucar music, so they're doing it up big here.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't give him the Sin Cara lights and give everybody a bad flashback. But man,
oh man, hopefully there won't be two Mysticos and a Dark Mystico. And
I mean, look, he's got his swagger back, man. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, so that should be a fun matchup. All right, we got a few other questions here, and then we'll answer those, wrap the show up. So first from Harjiv S, he says, just recently began to listen to you guys, and while I actually enjoy the show, I caught a couple times someone saying they watch shows on 2x speed. How can you review something while doing that?
I sometimes do the undercard stuff. I'll watch, if there's just nothing happening on an undercard match, I'll watch it in 2x speed. Because my review format for how I review New Japan stuff on Voices of Wrestling is I'll do like tales from the undercard and I'll just list the results of the undercard matches. And so I go through the matches in 2x speed. I see who wins, who gets pinned. And if there's any big angle, I note that down too. But yeah, going through the undercard, some of, you don't need to watch every match that makes tape to get what's going on in New Japan. So I never do it with like title matches or like big time singles matches or anything. Just, your typical undercard, road to tags that are like building up a match. I'll zoom through them if there's nothing I particularly want to see in that combination.
Yeah, and for me, I'll do 1.5 if I'm like crunched for time and we have a lot of stuff to review for the show. And like this Super Junior Tag League, probably the undercard for me is probably some of that stuff's probably going to get a 1.5 just to kind of see what's going on and see if there's any angles or anything interesting they're building for Power Struggle or the Tokyo Dome. But yeah, a lot of these shows when me and Josh, we're watching every single show. So when you watch every Road to, like, there's only so many times you can see like the same 6-man or 8-man or 10-man tag over and over again.
I've seen LIJ versus Chaos 1,000 times. I know what this is.
Yeah. So some of that stuff you can get the gist if you speed run it.
Yeah, and then you can skip you can 2x speed the entrances and all that, and then everybody getting out of the ring and moving on to the next match. It saves you time.
Yeah, especially Naito if he's taking the pants off and the jacket, you can save yourself a good 10-15 minutes through that.
Oh my god, he took so long on this Royal Quest show. He took so long.
Death Triangle 720 says, with new teams being involved in tag division from Shota and Ren, Tsuji, Shingo, Suzuki, Narita, etc., what team should beat Bishamon for the tag belts?
I mean, someone put the idea in my head of Tsuji and Shingo winning them, and now I want that. If Tsuji's not going to be in the top mix right now, pair them up with Shingo. They're cool. Works for me.
Yeah, they've already debuted their tag finisher, the pumping blaster, the lariat spear combo. It's sick. So yeah, I'm all down for them being the tag champs.
There you go. I do like, but again, it speaks to my point earlier of they're putting effort into these tag teams, man. It works. I like it. I like when New Japan puts effort in because they're usually very good at it.
Yeah, you can main event a show with Tsuji and Shingo defending against a top team.
Yeah. Like they just did Bikimon versus Okada Tanahashi at the anniversary show. That match was excellent. It's one of my higher tier New Japan matches of the year.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
He also asked, if possible, should New Japan have someone new debut like a Nakajima beating Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, assuming that Ospreay is leaving?
Man, that would be cool. I don't know if they would do that. Hindsight being 2020, I would have saved the Tsuji match for the Dome. But again, that's assuming Ospreay's leaving. And, I said it earlier, but I think they're going to do that Mox match at the Dome. So, it's still in that New Japan universe. And they put the belt on Mox again? Like, will it be the Intercontinental belt at that point? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting. They're treating it as if he's not leaving yet.
Yeah, they're definitely kind of building him up. I think he will probably end up in the Tokyo Dome with a title. I don't know if Nakajima's cool, but I feel like one of the young guys in New Japan should be the one to kind of get that rub and beat Ospreay if they're not going to do Ospreay Mox.
Yeah, and to be clear, I want Nakajima in New Japan.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, same. Next question here from K Shibata 999. Since there will likely be 16 teams in World Tag League this year, how many outside teams do you think they will bring in? Which ones?
All right, so I looked it up. Last year they had 10 teams, and one of them was Aussie Open, who I'm pretty sure are going to be out this year, whether it be due to AEW commitments or Davis's wrist exploding. So expect them to be out. So I looked at the teams. You can add Hikuleo and ELP. You add GOD. Naito and Sonata were a team. They obviously are not one now. So you replace them with Tsuji and Shingo. You can replace Aussie Open with Okan and Cobb. You could have Taichi and Yuya be a team for just 5 guys. So that leaves you with 3 spots. I wouldn't expect an AEW to have a team miss that time. I'm thinking too hard about it. No,
I mean,
they'll find somebody.
You could do the Monster Sauce team, Lance Archer and Alex Zane. We're seeing them challenge ELP and Hikuleo.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Archer, he works more New Japan than AEW these days, so maybe.
Yeah. I can't really see an AEW team coming over unless it's going to be a lower card team that they're okay with losing for a month.
Yeah, I don't really see it, but Suzuki and Nagata, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're down to 2, and then it's World Tag League. Don't think about it too hard. Look, they're better with the tag teams. That doesn't mean I'm watching World Tag League. What do I look like, a freak?
Let's Commission 7252 says, you guys like this scenario: Okada, Ishii, and Tanahashi lose the belt to TMDK due to miscommunication with Ishii and Tanahashi, resulting in a special singles match at Wrestle Kingdom 18 from their amazing match at Wrestling Dontaku 2022.
I like the scenario. I mean, that would be a great match. That did make me remember that those two weren't even supposed to be in that match. It was supposed to be Osprey Sonata,
Yeah.
but Sonata broke his face and wasn't ready yet. So it was going to be Osprey Tanahashi. Then Osprey has like a kidney infection or something. So they have to pull in Ishii. And then those two have a great match. So, it just reminded me of that funny thought of a great match where neither guy was supposed to be in it. But yeah, I don't see that happening. Ishii's been in the Rambo, for a few of these dome shows. Tanahashi, I don't know if you can put him in a singles match anymore at the dome.
I don't know, man.
He's looking rough, man.
I feel like you have to do the last advertised, Tanahashi's last match in the Tokyo Dome singles match kind of thing, or at least give him one big send-off moment.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with those guys, because like Ishii, they'll stick him in the Rambo, but Tana, what do you do with him? Do you have him against like Shota or something? Do you have like... I mean, that's a decent thought because those two have teased like not getting along, but Ishii like deals with it because Okada's cool with it. But I just don't see that being what they do. Like they don't put Ishii in too many of these big singles matches in Japan anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be awesome if it happened. My theory is, Tanahashi pinned Alex Shelley in that 6-man at Ryogoku, so you could have Tana challenging again for the Impact World title at the Tokyo Dome against Alex Shelley.
Yeah, you could do that. I'll never be mad at seeing Alex Shelley get booked for a show.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great kind of spot for him, highlight him on Tokyo Dome.
Plus, he's a physical trainer, so he can help Tana, stretch out a little bit.
Yeah. He also asked, if Ace Austin and Chris Bay weren't announced for Super Junior Tag League, could that mean they'll be in World Tag League instead? They've been Impact Tag Champs earlier this year, so it would mean they moved up slightly with the heavyweights, right?
Sure. Now we're down to one spot. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could happen. I feel like New Japan still see those guys as juniors, but hey, yeah, they are the Impact World Tag Team Champions, so why not?
Yeah. Plus, like, again, it's World Tag League. Don't think about it too hard.
Next question here from Semi Hat. He says, how would you book Goto in 2024?
I'd keep him in Bishamon. I think that's a good team for those guys in this stage of their careers. I think they're, the most over, native team that they've got right now. If you want to do something different with them after they drop the titles, I think pairing them with like Ishii would be a dope never 6-man team. Pairing them with another guy from Chaos, like, I mean, who knows who's in Chaos anymore? But yeah, he's a 45-year-old veteran. He could still move well out there. You're not pushing him as a singles guy, so yeah, keep him in these tags. If you want to put him in a 6-man, put him in a 6-man. I think that's a good spot for those guys.
Yeah, I think Bishamon has been great. They've been having great tag matches, great tag title runs, and yeah, with this point in Goto's career, I don't see him, winning a G1 again or a New Japan Cup. So I think keeping him with Yoshihashi, running Bishamon, having them kind of be the ace tag team and facing off all comers, I think it's a very good spot for Goto.
Yeah, Goto's not getting that gold watch.
Last two questions here from the Dark Soldier. First, he says, I know you guys had pointed out a few weeks ago in the Wrestle Dream pre-show, Kojima was the one who got the win for his team. Do you think AEW is rectifying their mistake from Forbidden Door? Could Kojima appear on Collision, take Punk's spot, beat all the AEW guys, ban people from the show, beat MDF, and rightfully bring the Age of Bread to AEW?
I mean, he'd have better matches, so yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, I love Kojima, so I'm all down for him coming in, getting a run. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, look, I liked Punk, but like this was it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Kojima, I wouldn't be mad at it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a welcome addition, I think, to Collision. Kind of a cool thing. Yeah, see Kojima versus somebody, get a quick win. It'd be nice.
Kojima feuding with 5 different people, 3 of whom won't talk to him.
I thought it was hilarious. Like, he faced Tony Nese on the ROH tapings, and Tony Nese just hating on bread. So
yes, I saw that spoiler, and because I review ROH for F4W Online, I was like, yes, I'm getting Kojima. Let's go.
Yeah, I think just having feud against all like the best people who hate bread, like the best body guys that hate bread in AEW. Good stuff.
There you go.
Then his last question here: who do you think had the biggest fall in NJPW? A guy who seemed to be prepped for more, yet things didn't pan out. Juice is a recent example, but he at least he's rock hard now, and I think Yujiro is a big example given his once main evented for the world title against our hero Tanahashi. Do you have anyone else in mind who fell hard?
Kushida was my first thought, because like he came back and now he means absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
From the ace of the juniors to the pin eater on his own team. That's what jacket time will do to you. But another name I just thought of as you were reading it that I think fits more with a Dark Soldier's question would be Katsuya Kitamura. Like they were, he won that Young Lion Cup. They were ready to go to the moon with him. Then, whatever happened, and yeah, it's unfortunate. But
yeah, I think another name thinking about Young Lions and Young Lion Cups are Carl Fredericks.
Oh my God, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I think it seems like he was earmarked to be, a top guy in the company.
Now he's talking to trees on NXT, indeed. Maybe it was for the best.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for the best.
All right, well, that wraps up the questions, and it's going to put an end to our show here. Suit, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Tell our listeners where they can find you online and plug any of your work, anything you have coming up you want people to check out.
You can check me out on Twitter and any Twitter variants at Suit Williams. A lot of my work's on voicesofwrestling.com. I had a real busy this past few weeks. I released the 2023 Dynamite Dozen, which is the ranking of the 12 best AEW television matches. The rankings from Cage Match, so you get a nice look at the past year of AEW from anniversary to anniversary. I'm also currently doing the Bummer of Punk series, where I look back at the 2011 Summer of Punk and see what went wrong there. Spoiler alert, the answer is Triple H. I also recently wrote a piece on MJF, where I talked about my disappointment with his work. I'm getting rave reviews for that one. Also, I'm not saying he heard it, but it's a little different on this week's Dynamite. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I was also recently on the Gentleman's Wrestling podcast talking about the recent shift in AEW's programming lately. So check that one out. Me and Jesse Collins having a nice discussion about that. And then finally, F4WOnline.com. I review Ring of Honor Weekly and AEW Collision every Saturday.
Nice. Well, yeah, thanks again, Suit, for coming on. Everybody go out and check out Suit's work. Great stuff. Also, I love the Brock series you did as well.
Yes, the Brockumentary, 15 parts on Brock's run from 02 to 04, the initial Brock Lesnar run. Very good stuff that I am proud to have finished.
Yeah, so everybody check out Suit's work on Voice of Wrestling, Wrestling Observer website, and Suit will definitely have to have you back on when Josh is back so you can get the full Keeping It Strong style experience. But I appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, man. Fun time. I'll be back anytime.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Next week, we'll be back to review the start of Super Junior Tag League. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter or X, we're at KI Strong Style. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. Follow the network at Social Suplex. Also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Instagram at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the pro black guy, Josh is Keeping a Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio with Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Tumowitz. Imps WWE Adventure with The Implications, Matthew Mayer. And we got some new shows coming soon to the network, so make sure you subscribe and check that out. So leave us a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.